Coming up on the season finale of Midco Motorsports, Donny Schatz hits double digits. We'll look back at the North Dakota native's historic win at the Knoxville Nationals. Most racing fans will probably never get the chance to actually drive a sprint car. The technology can get you awfully close to the real thing. Shawn takes us iRacing. All that plus highlights from around the region and the story behind a World of Outlaws team that's striving to make its bite bigger than its bank account. The green flag drops now. If greatness is defined by how well you perform when the stakes are highest, then Donny Schatz seems destined to go down as the best there ever was. How's everybody doing? I'm Jay Elson, and this is Midco Motorsports. For more than a decade, Schatz has dominated sprint car racing's premier event, claiming 9 of the last 11 Knoxville Nationals championships. Saturday, the North Dakota native, whose recent run also includes a pair of runner-up finishes, looked to further cement his legacy. Schatz gave himself a great chance by earning the number 2 starting spot for the 50-lap main event, but he'd have to try and catch David Gravel. The Connecticut native was coming off a perfect qualifying night, and boy, was he fast. Lap 14, Schatz takes a run at him, but watch the response. Gravel finds that extra gear to retake command. He'd lead the first 21 laps, but it all came to a sudden stop. Motor issues end Gravel's night and give the lead to Schatz. Lap 24, Kerry Madsen attempts to pass the 15 on a restart, but he falls back a spot instead. Kyle Larson, who started 9th, moves into the runner-up position. Fast forward to lap 49, it gets good. Schatz slowed in traffic. That allows Larson to get close, and he'd let it all hang out from there. Unfortunately for him, it wasn't quite enough. Schatz closes it out to claim his 10th Knoxville Nationals crown, joining Steve Kinzer as the only drivers to own double-digit titles.
They are all good. The first one, there's nothing that feels like that, but man, let's say my heart right now, when you got to race that hard for 50 laps, it feels as good as the first one. At the end of the day, we're all here for the love of it and the fun, and I'm no different than anybody else, so just glad to be standing here.
Now, in addition to Schatz, a number of other regional drivers also competed at Knoxville last week. Grand Forks native Mark Dobmeyer took home $14,000 for his 12th place finish in Saturday's A main, while South Dakota natives Justin Henderson, Dusty Zomer, and Matt Jewell all saw their runs come to an end in the B. Here's what a couple of those guys had to say about their experiences.
We're definitely happy. Our Nationals this year was nice and solid. You know, we got it into the show, and at the end of the day, we move forward in the show, and that's what we're looking for every time. We want to move forward every race. We started, I think, 13th. We finished 11th or 12th, somewhere in there. But it was just a good race. I mean, the track was pretty good condition. You could run the top, the bottom. At the beginning, I snuck a few guys on the bottom, and then I got hung out to dry. A couple, they got me back.
You know, our qualifying night we did really well, and we were able to, you know, be able to skip Friday night and go straight to Saturday, so that was nice. But we were hoping for a better outcome tonight, of course. But you know, the level of competition that we're going against is, you know, the highest that it is. So, you know, we'll take where we ended up, but hopefully come back next year and be able to do better.
Most of us may never actually get the chance to gas up a sprint car, but thanks to technology, we can get a pretty accurate picture as to what it might be like. We'll have more on that when Midco Motorsports rolls on. Climbing into a sprint car and driving over 100 miles an hour isn't for everybody, but thanks to technology, pretty much anybody has a chance to climb in the cockpit. Simulators with virtual reality give you a true feel of what it's like to pilot one of those machines on a number of the best dirt tracks in the country. Shawn introduces us to one company that specializes with this state-of-the-art equipment from Knoxville, Iowa.
Back out here at Knoxville Raceway, and one of the unique things you can do out here at the Nationals is race in a sprint car simulator, and it's very, very realistic. And there's a number of them, but there's a new one with iRacing that is very, very cool. It's got virtual reality. You actually wear the goggles, and it's like you're racing in a real car. And Tim Nichols has been running these simulators for 12 years out of Lima, Ohio. Tim Sims, Tell me about the difference with this new iRacing system that really makes it feel like you're in the driver's seat.
Oh, it's unique. All the drivers have been coming by and checking it out, and they said it's real as it gets. I mean, you have your virtual reality there. I mean, you can reach around and people reach trying to grab things in the screen because it looks so realistic and everything. And we've had a number of drivers, good drivers, to come by here and say, it's not going to get realer than that. And I believe this is the future of racing down the road. Really do. It's just the way it's going, money, cost, and everything. Yeah, it's still kind of expensive, but this is the way it's going to go. You know, online right now, it's just so unique to get online and race with these virtual reality and this iRacing that it's just, it's a blast.
Well, let's put a couple of our drivers in from the Northern Outlaws Sprint Association and see how they do. All right, a couple of guys that have actually won features on the Northern Outlaw Sprint Association circuit had a chance to try out the iRacing. Jade Hastings, Jordan Adams, kind enough to join us, taking the week off down here in Knoxville. Guys, how realistic was this for you to get in the driver's seat, iRacing, compared to the real thing?
I wasn't expecting much, but I tell you what, I'd definitely pay to do that again. That was about as close as it gets to feeling like you're actually in a race car. And just the way the steering wheel reacts and the way the car moves, it's a lot like being in the car, and I think it's awesome and everyone should do it.
Jordan was the fastest at a 13.9 second lap, by the way. Jordy, what did you think of it?
You know, it's really realistic. I have a system at home, but the goggles, I don't know if they don't have them yet or not, but I'm definitely going to get them when they come out. And you said we're taking a week off, but it was nice to kind of practice down here and turn a couple laps on a Friday.
Well, thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you guys at the track next week.
Sounds good.
All right, that's iRacing here at Knoxville Raceway.
It does look like fun. In fact, there are lots of fun things like that for the fans at the Knoxville Nationals, but there's another group that looks forward to this event every year almost as much. Brian Shawn sat down with one longtime race reporter to get his perspective on the Super Bowl of sprint car racing.
Well, here we are at Knoxville Raceway and joined by a familiar voice that you hear on the radio waves, and you've heard it for several years, and that is Motor Racing Network Steve Post. You hear him in the pits on NASCAR races. You also hear him on MRN's Wing Nation radio show as well, and kind enough to spend a few moments with us. And Steve, you always have that unique perspective because you are around the drivers, you're around the teams. What are a couple of things that maybe a lot of the spectators don't see that you do that maybe they don't realize?
You know, the thing that amazes me about this week here in Knoxville is the intensity level, and what amazes me is it really is all your perspective as a driver. I just spent some time with Donny Schatz and spent some time with Greg Hodnett. We're sitting here on Friday afternoon. They're locked into the A main. They're as cool as cucumbers. This is their best week. Wayne Johnson the same way, got himself locked in. Wayne was walking around with his daughter. So the intensity level, because theirs is a release, because they're in and good to go. Now Saturday night it'll pick back up again. But then it's the drivers who have struggled and are now scratching and clawing their way. And those guys, they don't want to talk to you. They were just focused on it. So I think that's the thing that always amazes me about Knoxville is the intensity.
Yeah, you talk about intensity. And NASCAR, you're there for a lot of races in the pits. You see what's going on second to second, minute to minute. What's the intensity like during a race for that? Because those are long events, and you got to stay locked in for long periods of time.
I think that's what makes our NASCAR drivers so talented, is that they do stay focused for such a long period of time. The duration of those races, 3 or 4 hours along the way. And then when you're on pit road, the intensity, because passing cars on pit road, as far as a better pit stop, getting into pit road, getting off the pit road, is really high, the intensity level is. And then we're down there with all the pit crews and crew chiefs, and they're the ones making all the decisions. Pit crews are doing those 12-second pit stops. So, I mean, there is nothing better than a caution flag pit stop when there's 12 cars in front of you doing those 12-second pit stops. It is amazing the talent level that we have in those pit areas.
Wing Nation, obviously a show that a lot of sprint car fans know, listen to. You get to talk to these drivers all the time. You get to stay so plugged in. What's the most fun part of doing this to you?
I think the most fun part is the being plugged in, and the way I kind of describe it to people, or try to describe it, is that we're just simply fans first. I mean, whether it's our MAV show with Ashley Stremme or Aaron Evernham on our weekly show on MRN.com, and even when we started with Kendra Jacobs, we're just fans that for whatever reason have been blessed with really good seats. You know what I mean? And sometimes the seat is a phone call talking to a driver on our show, but we're just so fortunate that we have such good access to these guys. It's a testament to the drivers as well that they're so open with us. But but I think that's the thing. We're just fans with really pretty good location to watch it all from.
Well, we appreciate you spending a few minutes with us, Steve, and keep doing the great work. And we love listening to you and doing all what you do. And keep doing what you're doing. We know you love it.
Absolutely, I do love it, and I appreciate you having me on today. And I appreciate everyone just tuning in. Just keep tuning in, and we'll keep having fun being the fans that we are.
Exactly right. Mr. Post joining us here on Midco Sports Network, Midco Motorsports.
The Advantage RV Modified Tour wrapped up its 2017 schedule over the weekend. Highlights and post-race reaction from their stop in Fergus Falls after this. And welcome back. Well, Minnesota drivers have reigned supreme on this year's Advantage RV Modified Tour, claiming 6 of the first 9 features, not to mention the top 7 spots in the standings. From that group, Rogers native Jeremy Nelson had the best chance to claim the title during last week's August Ambush Finals. 3 races in 3 nights, beginning with Friday's stop at I-94. We'll start with the street stocks. 2 to go. Justin Tamman running second when he goes for a wild ride. Full-on barrel roll follows the impact. Now, it would take several minutes, but Tamman did eventually emerge from the car unharmed. When racing resumed, Kyle Dykoff picked up right where he left off. He came from 6th to pick up his 2nd straight win in Fergus Falls. Lots of drama at the end of the B-Mod feature. The 97 of Grady Shearer battling Brock Gronwald in the 2G into the final turn. Shearer holds him off as they cross the finish line for what looked like a thrilling victory, but Shearer was disqualified during the post-race inspection, and that handed the win to Gronwald. That brought us to the big show, 40 laps for $1,500. The most pivotal moment came with 10 to go. The 2C of Dave Kane had held the lead for 20 laps, but Jeremy Nelson gets past him as they cross the start-finish line. The caution flag flies just after that, which meant Nelson got to stay up front, and he wouldn't look back from there. Nelson leads the final 10 laps to become the Mod Tour's first 2-time winner for 2017.
Track was a little bit wetter than what we were hoping for. We figured that the track would have been up on the cushion the whole time, but we were able to pick them off one by one down on the bottom because everyone was up top, and once we got in the second, we were able to get Kane down on the bottom, we were able to blow by him on the outside. So once we got up there, then it was, just counting down the laps.
Sparks were flying in Grand Forks Friday, literally. That power issue caused some minor problems in the pits, but it didn't do much to slow down Ryan Johnson. The Street Stocks points leader looked the part again as he raced his way to a 6th win in 10 features at River Cities. Lightning sprints back at the Bull Ring for the first time since June 23rd. The 13 of Alan Trasinski had the pole, but this night would belong to his son Alex in the 10 car. He jumped past his dad off the start, and it was never in question after that. Alex goes wire to wire for the win.
I saw a good line in the inside of him that he left for me. What a nice dad. So I took what I had and I went for it, and by turn 1 I had everybody, and I just held my line and got the win.
To the Midwest Modifieds, and what an incredible run it has been for Lance Schill. He'd won the last 6 races he'd competed in between multiple tracks coming in, and after starting 12th, there's the 17 making its way to the front yet again. And once it got there, it stayed there. Schill collects his 7th straight win overall and 4th in a row at RCS.
I think too much on everything. I always look, I know who's starting in front of me. I know who the fast cars are, the dominant cars are. I know. I look at them all the time. I see the numbers. And all I can think about is we need to get a couple right out of the chute, and we need to get it figured out, and we need to, get a restart or get a couple of yellows, reel everybody in, then we got a shot. If this car can see the front once we get going, we're coming, and it's going to be fun.
Some not as usual suspects at the front of the week's late model feature. Pick it up about halfway through. Battle for the lead between Ryan Mickelson, Tori Schill, and Don Shaw. They go 3 wide down the front stretch, and it's Shaw that manages to gain the edge. The 42S would pull away from there. Shaw makes the most of his first trip of the year to Grand Forks as he parks it in victory lane.
Feature came around and I was hoping for a top 3, with everybody that was up ahead of me and beside me. And with the crate motor here, you don't have quite the horsepower that some of these guys have, but It did slick off pretty quick in spots, and it really went to my advantage as far as driving.
Elijah Zevenbergen has been almost untouchable at Rapid Speedway this season. Find out how he fared in the track's annual stock car special after this. Elijah Zevenbergen has been as close to a sure thing as you can find at Rapid Speedway this season. Coming into Friday's annual stock car special, the Ocheyedan, Iowa native had raced there 10 times and come away with 8 wins. That was enough to put him on top of the points, despite the fact that he missed 2 weeks due to other commitments. To Rock Rapids we go, where the Sportsman's led things off. After mechanical issues last week, Andy Wazorek made sure his presence was felt this week. Final lap, the 14 of Brian Crone able to clear Wazorek on the front stretch, but he wouldn't be able to hold on. Crone gets a little loose, and that allows the 9 car to regain the lead, and that was it. Wazorek goes on to claim his 8th win of the year. The late model street stocks were also on hand Friday. Rock Rapids native Darren Cordell started 8th for this one, but he was on the move early. 11K made its way to the front within the first few laps, and you could probably guess how it went from there. Cordell has now won 5 of the 6 LMSS features at his hometown track.
I ended up running the top most of the time and just hanging it off the edge there. It's fun, but it's challenging at the same time.
Finally, it was time for Zevenbergen and that stock car special, which paid $1,000 to win. Dustin Larson showed the way briefly, but Zevenbergen wanted it done his way. He quickly completes the climb from 3rd and dominates the rest of the way. Make it 9 wins in 11 races for the 66Z. Well, it costs a lot to run full-time with the World of Outlaws, but one team is proof that being competitive isn't all about dollars and cents. We'll meet the men behind Shark Racing next. The World of Outlaws are making their way back to North Dakota for a 3-race swing in Grand Forks, Fargo, and Minot this weekend. Among those competing will be a group from out east that is family first and race team second. Brian Shawn has more.
There are a couple of young drivers on the World of Outlaws tour lurking.
Hey, those are the Shark boys. They're like chomp chomp, like they're the Sharks. Like, that's cool.
Shark Racing is a family team based out of Pennsylvania, captained by Hall of Famer Bobby Allen, with his son Jacob and grandson Logan now in the driver's seat. But this story started long ago.
My great-grandfather started racing on the beaches of Daytona and piloted the World War II planes. I think they're called P-40s with the shark teeth on the front of them. And that's later on in my grandfather's career, he started putting shark teeth on his race cars. And that's kind of where it trickled down to where we named our team Shark Racing. And I've always had shark teeth on my race cars, and so does Jacob.
And the finish. Bobby Allen, leader since the 10th lap, is the world champion kart.
Bobby started out in go-karts, winning the 1960 World Championship in the Bahamas at age 16.
I just had that big dream of wanting to go to Indianapolis, and also I always did everything by myself, more or less, or did it my way. And my dad had raced. That's how I got into it, because he raced, so he got the go-karts and the half midgets.
Allen was one of the original drivers on the World of Outlaws circuit, winning over 70 races in his career, including the 1990 Knoxville Nationals.
He's a legend in our sport, so I wanted to be like him. I wanted to win races like he won races. I wanted to win the Knoxville Nationals. He's done that. And it's just a cool feeling with having him by my side and the rest of my family by my side. They've always supported me.
I see my opportunity I have, and I see how blessed I am to have a dad like my dad with everything he's accomplished, and to have his blood and be his only son. It's pretty exciting. I'm pretty stoked about, my life.
The Sharks are not your average team. There are no big dollar sponsors or fancy haulers. They face considerable obstacles, competing with fewer resources on a challenging tour that takes them all over the country.
I call it an addictive gambler with a race car. And to go out and beat the odds, and people think you can't do it, and it ain't no easy. Everybody always says you're living the dream. I always say, yeah, you're living the dream and the nightmare. In the beginning, everybody roots for us because, you know, when you're the underdog and they try and they see the stuff, the boys work on the cars hard.
It's definitely been scary at times where we've definitely gotten close to where we're either going home or I wouldn't even say going home, just stuck where we're at for the truck breaking down. You know, I know what our bank account is, and it's been, you know, staying in the truck for a reason most nights because we can't afford to get a hotel.
Racing with these guys at a young age when you know, you want to win and be up front all the time, and that doesn't always happen, you know, right now. It's stressful, but it teaches you to never give up, and it teaches you when the good results do happen that the hard work pays off.
This is the 4th year on the tour for the team, and success is starting to come. Schuhart's picked up his first ever victory last summer and has followed it up with 4 more wins this season. Allen led his first ever laps in an Outlaw feature race at River City Speedway in June.
I'm really proud of them because they both learned a lot. I'm trying, every year is a different plateau. The first year was just driving. The second year is working on the car, setting them up. I've taught them how to set their cars up. Sometimes it becomes a problem because now they think they know more than I do, and I got to argue with them, and that's the truth.
It's definitely built on top of what it was from the first couple of years, and we've gotten a lot better. We've won some races, and we're able to build up our team. You know, these guys are the best in the world, and but it's definitely an accomplishment when you beat them.
When you get to where you want to be and or where you envision yourself where you want to be, you're going to look back on these times when you were young and you were grinding so hard and doing all this and that. Just, you know, putting the effort and the time into it, and, you know, if people think you're worthy enough to, or good enough to be in the Hall of Fame one day, and to share that with my dad would be, I feel like I've done something with myself.
The legacy continues, and the next chapter of this tale is nowhere near complete. Reporting for Midco Motorsports, I'm Brian Shawn.
Thanks, Brian. All right, that is a wrap for another season of Midco Motorsports. For Brian Shawn, Greg Ankers, and our producer Max Jensen, I'm Jay Elson. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.